Alright, in this video, taking a look at Romans chapter 11, verses 17 through 24. But if some of the branches were broken off, and you, being a wild olive, were grafted in among them and became partaker with them of the rich fruit of the olive tree, do not be arrogant toward the branches. But if you are arrogant, remember that it is not you who supports the root, but the root supports you. You will say then, branches were broken off, so that I might be grafted in. Quite right. They were broken off for their unbelief. But you stand by your faith. Do not be conceited, but fear. For if God did not spare the natural branches, he will not spare you either. Behold then the kindness and severity of God. To those who fell, severity, but to you God's kindness, if you continue in his kindness. Otherwise, you also will be cut off. And they also, if they do not continue in their unbelief, will be grafted in. For God is able to graft them in again. For if you were cut off from what is by nature a wild olive tree, and were grafted contrary to nature into a cultivated olive tree, how much more will these who are the natural branches be grafted into their own olive tree? Okay, we're going to look at this entire section because that is the simplest way to do it. This is what is known as Paul's famous olive tree illustration. And the point here is to underscore the different roles that Israel and the Gentiles play in the unfolding plan of God, specifically with regards to salvation. You have to keep this in context. Remember that the you has changed. Paul is now speaking to the Gentiles. So the you, the wild olive, is the Gentile, who is being grafted into the rich root of God's salvation alongside the branches which would be Israel. Some of which have been broken off, as Paul says, tracking with his previous argument that Israel stumbled so that Gentiles might come in. But this does not mean that God has abandoned Israel, and he will graft in the broken branches when they accept Jesus as their Messiah. And that is the simple point of the olive tree illustration.